Hello, everybody. My name is Kamara, and today we will be reviewing our 8th episode of Season 2 of Bubble Guppies. Season 2, Episode 8, A Tooth on a Looth. I will say I appreciate the title for having a bit of a lisp sounding word to it. It's pretty cute. I like that. So, in this episode, Dima has a loose tooth, and when it falls out, she's going to get a visit from the tooth fairy. Until then, the Bubble Guppies learn about keeping a healthy smile. Now, this episode, I really do like it. It just brings back a lot of memories for me, in my opinion, because like because when I heard the concept of losing a tooth, some kids will be scared, but honestly, I was really excited because at the time I was a sucker. I loved any fantasy. I love Disney fairies, so I was like, a tooth fairy? That's that's pretty awesome. I really want a tooth fairy to visit me. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting for my very first tooth to start wiggling, and it took me like until the end of until the end of first grade. Until the end of first grade, I it was like a week before we got out. It was like a week before we got out for summer vacation. I kid you not, I remember like eating lunch one day and my tooth was starting to feel all wobbly. And I was like, wait a minute, do I? And then I quickly rushed to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have my first loose tooth. And then until the last day of school, I couldn't stop talking about it. Like in that day on the day when I found out, we was having a class party, and I was saying to everybody, I have a loose tooth. I can't believe it. I have a loose tooth. I have my very first loose tooth. And this episode immediately came to mind. I remember watching this episode back to back when I first had my loose tooth because I was so ecstatic. And like I said before, Dean was one of my favorite characters. So to go through something one of my favorite characters went through in real life, it's a pretty big thing for me. So enough about my personal experience. Don't worry, I'll tell you at the end how it fell out as soon as we get to Dima's part of the episode where her tooth falls out. But onto the episode. So the episode starts with Dima and Molly swimming to school, and then they stop by a dentist office, and his name is actually Dr. Clark, and we'll get to see him again in season 3. He's actually just finishing up an appointment for a little young lobster named Jackson, and then he exclaims to them that he's a dentist, and that's when Dima tells him and Molly that she has a loose tooth. And she the dentist explains that means it's gonna fall out soon. It's gonna fall out soon, and it's gonna make way for a brand new tooth. And then I like how she's so excited, and then she's like, "Come on, Molly, we gotta show everybody." And I like Dima's little thing where she's doing that thing with her tongue and wiggling it. I remember doing that so much and making the exact same noise that Dima made. It got pretty annoying, but I couldn't help it. I was just so happy. So anyway, we make it to school, and then she explains, and then Molly tells everybody that Dima has a loose tooth, and everybody's so happy that Dima has a loose tooth, and she says that the dentist said it's the baby one. That means it's gonna fall out soon. And then they talk about making sure that they brush every night, and I like it how they I know sometimes sometimes teeth brushing can be pretty boring for some kids. I don't know why, but I always love brushing my teeth. I always like brushing my teeth, and but I always got toothpaste all over my shirt every single time I was getting ready for daycare. That was one of the struggles for me. But and not to I don't want to boast or anything, but I kid you not, I'm one of my dentist's first people. I've never had a cavity. Like what? Yes, I don't know how. I never broke a bone before. I never fractured a bone, and I never had a cavity. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm being so serious. I do not mean to boast at all. Like I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. I promise. I don't mean to like rub it in anybody's faces, but I'm just shocked how like over the age of 5, I didn't have a single cavity. That's just crazy to me. That's just crazy. And I like how the bubble guppies don't just like talk to kids down like, hey, you need to brush your teeth. They actually like made the concept pretty fun, And I like how the guppies talk about what color their toothbrushes are, dem um 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 and we even get some references from the Crayon Pries back in season 1, where Gil says that his favorite color is purple, and he said that he has a purple toothbrush, and Una has a pink toothbrush, but in the car race we see that she has a yellow car back in season 1. But it's okay, people can have more than one favorite color. I mean, I like pink and purple and green, and and I also like periwinkle. Yeah, there's a lot of very nice, very very nice colors. And Gobi says that he also likes he also has a blue toothbrush. No reference, that's what he said. And I remember my favorite type of toothbrushes were the toothbrushes where they had like characters on them. I remember I had a a Dora the Explorer toothbrush. I remember I had the toothbrushes that light up. My favorite type of the toothbrushes were the ones that electrical toothbrushes, which will come into play later. Um the ones that light up, and the ones that have the suction cup at the bottom. Those are my favorite type of ones. And then we get to our question segment and we talk about what do you need to brush your teeth? And then we have one of my favorite pop songs in season 2, Just Smile. Like, it's a great song. And can we talk about my girl Una? Can we talk about how she shredded on that electric guitar to the point where she was on her fin? I'm not even gonna say on her knees. She was on her fin, shredding. She was shredding. If you've seen the song, you know what I mean. And Nani's moments in the song is just so cute. At the end, they just want him to smile. I mean, looking back at it now, I was like, come on, Nani, just smile. But now that I'm older, I'm like, he doesn't really have to smile. If he doesn't want to smile, he doesn't have to. He can have whatever emotion he wants to have. No shade to the guppies, but he doesn't have to smile. I'm just saying. But anyway, after that killer song, um, we have our shop segment, and this is actually one of 2 shop segments in this season that don't actually have any customers. It's just Gobi, who's a dentist, and he's trying to match some pairs of teeth. And I like how at the end it's a 2D animated counterpart of Mr. Grouper, which is really funny. And also that's the same animation that they would use in some of their games back on the Nick Jr. website. Particularly that classroom game that they have where you can like customize the classroom. And there was another 2D game. There's another 2D game. There's another 2D game. It's okay. It's okay. It'll come to my mind later. It's alright. But yeah, that's the only one I could think of right now. But anyway, we have our lunch joke from Nani, and it's macaroni and teeth, and it has like one of those chattering teeth that be like going it's so funny. I remember I had a pair of those at daycare. Is really really funny. And I remember ironically I seen this type of teeth in 2 Nick Jr. shows. This show and in the Backyardigans episode, the best clowns in town, when Austin pulls out one of those things. It's really really fun. It's really fun. I like that. I like that a lot. It's really really fun. And then we have our also, can I mention it's saying on the wiki that Una eats bologna. She's eating meat, which she rarely does. That's literally what it says off of the wiki. And I try to look it up. I try to look up some evidence of like, is she vegan? Is she vegan? And the only results I get is that she's an omnivore. She's an omnivore. Now, I'll go with that response, but if she really is vegan, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I want to say she is vegan, but the more evidence I get, the more I keep on wanting to say she might be an omnivore. But yeah, but Una can eat whatever she wants, as long as it's, as long as she's comfortable with eating said stuff. All right, and then we have our Molly and Gil segment, and Gil is trying to fumble with a toothbrush that keeps on moving and stuff. It's really funny. It's really, really, really funny. And then keeps on moving around. It's giving very Blue's Clues the way it moves. Then we head over to the classroom, and something very ironic happens that happened in our last episode. I'll mention in a second. Nani is playing dentist. Nani's playing dentist with some stuffies, and then Gobi has an alligator puppet, which will come into play later. The alligator concept in the story. He chases Molly and Nani with the alligator puppet, which is really funny. And what I was saying ironic is that Dima was literally had a puppet just like that, only it was a dragon in the last episode. That's so ironic. Like, there has to be artwork out here. Please tell me, please, somebody create an artwork of Gobi and Dima both playing with those puppets. Please do that. Please, I will commission somebody who has an artistic eye to do that. Please, 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 please. I really want to see that. That would be so cute. That would be so adorable. Just them playing with the little puppets. So cute. And then, speaking of Dima, we have her over at like a vanity, and she's still playing with her tooth again. And then the Guppies asked her, what is she gonna do when the tooth falls out? And she doesn't really know. And that's when Una comes out of the sky. She's just a little fairy. She has a British accent. And she is so cute. It's funny how she's like it's so funny how like earlier on she was like a rock star guitar shredder, and now she's a dainty little fairy. Like I said at the end of my review of Can You Dig It? Dima might have some competition, because Una ain't the only one who could switch up. Okay? She ain't. I swear she get that from her bestie. I swear she do. But anyway, she tells her about the tooth. Una and Molly tell Dima about the tooth fairy. If you leave the tooth under your pillow, and then if you fall asleep, the tooth fairy will place your tooth, and she'll leave it for something shiny, like a coin. And then that makes Dima really excited for her tooth to fall out. Then it's outside time, and we have our story segment about how it's Molly and Gil, how they're dentist in a swamp, trying to find patients who need a dental checkup. First they go to a bird. First they go to a frog, and I like Nani popping out of the swamp, how lily pad on top of his head. A lily pad on top of his head, and in a snorkel, and he's like, frogs don't have any teeth. And he does the same thing with the bird when they give the bird a checkup, which I believe it was a crane. Was it a crane? Yeah, I think it was a crane. And then he pops out again, and he said, birds don't have teeth. Later we'll have another, ironically we're gonna have an episode all on birds later in the season, but we'll wait till then. But anyway, and this gator keeps on following them, and they get so scared, and then they take like a ramp up in the swamp, and then they're like in a tree, and then when they finally fall back down, the gator's about to chomp on them, which I did not like that. I did not like that as a kid. I did not like that. This is one of the cases I could say that the gator was truly an antagonist, not a misunderstood character, I mean, I kind of miss that concept, characters just being bad to be bad, but like, I missed it. That's why I'm saying season 2 villains are pretty more fleshed out than season 1 antagonist. But anyway, they smell his stank breath, and he's like, well, they're like, when the last time you brushed your teeth? And they're like, I don't know, never. And that's when the crane and the frog are judging him, and they're like, that's embarrassing. And the frog's like, Oh man, the side commentary, I love it. And then the dentist make a deal with the gator. If we teach you how to brush your teeth, will you not eat us? And then that's when Molly would introduce me to the word Piuski. I literally use that word every single time I smell something stinky. I swear. Just one of those iconic Bubble Guppy quotes that will forever live rent free in my mind. but anyway, their equipment gets mixed up in the water, and for some reason they have a ketchup bottle in there, and I think I saw a banana. I don't know why, but who knows? Maybe they're hungry. But what type of a lunch would you have with banana and ketchup? If that's what they want, I ain't gonna yuck they yum. Reference for later on in the series. But anyway, they luckily we see a whole brushing montage of them brushing their teeth. And I like how Nani pops in when they say that to make your breath really fresh, you can also brush your tongue. And I like it, what I really like about this episode, also, fun fact, this episode also won an Annie Award for Best TV Production. And I can probably see why, because they're making teeth brushing look fun. It's not like, hey, you gotta brush your teeth, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. No, they're actually making it look fun. You see, that's why I really like this episode. I really like it. Not just from my personal experience, but like because, you know, there's a way to get kids to do everyday activities that may not seem fun to be fun, and that's why I like this episode. So then, the gator, he finally learned how to brush his teeth, and they told him, make sure you brush your teeth twice a day, and your breath will be healthy, and your teeth will be healthy. And yeah, that's the end of our story, and I really, really like it. I like it. And then we have our dance song, which ironically Dima's leading it. I mean, it only makes sense. It is her centric episode. And then it's pretty fun. Like I said, season 2 is where we start getting repetitive melodies of the song. Instead of season 1, they would made up their own melodies and stuff. Season 2, we keep on hearing. Season 3 and season 4 will have their own melodies, but they'll get repetitive. But you'll see later on. And it's a pretty fun song. I like it. I like how Dima is the center of attention of this. And then we have another Molly and Gil segment, and then poor Gil again, he's trying to use the toothbrush again. The electric toothbrush. And the toothbrush he gives him, the toothbrush gives Gil a toothpaste mustache. It was really funny. Oh man. And that's when we have a field trip segment. Mr. Grouper has a dentist appointment, which I will, some of you will be thinking, I know some of you will be thinking, why are you taking your students to your dentist appointment? Listen, that will come into play later, and you'll see pretty soon. But anyway, when they made it to the dentist appointment with Dr. Clark, he asks how Dima's tooth is doing, and he says that it looks like it's right. It looks like it's almost ready to fall out. And then while he's Mr. Grouper is getting his teeth done, his teeth checked at with all the little tools. And I like how, Dr. Clark is he's very gentle. And I think another reason why I really like this episode is because, dentists can be very caring on, tell you how to look after your teeth. It's not like no lecture. He's not really lecturing. He's actually making it fun. He's actually making it fun. He's a really awesome character, and I'm happy we see him again soon. I really am. And then as Dima, she keeps on wiggling her tooth, and then we hear something plop out of her mouth, and then she's like, my tooth fell out. And then she's showing everybody that her tooth fell out, and they're all so happy for her. And this is where I'm going to talk about how my tooth fell out. So it was just a week and a half after my first grade year had ended. I was staying at my grandmother's house. And then I was on my tablet. And then she was laying right next to me. She was halfway fell asleep. my grandfather was just about to come upstairs, and I keep on, and I'm just wiggling my tooth, wiggling my tooth, wiggling my tooth, wiggling my tooth, and then, and that's when I feel it like move sideways, and I'm like, what the heck? And then, all of a sudden, I start seeing blood on my finger. Trigger warning, I'm sorry. I start seeing a little bit of blood on my finger, and then I'm like, what the heck? And as I'm moving my finger away, my tooth just plops out of my mouth. And I'm like, I catch it in my hand before any blood gets on the bed. I'm like, my tooth fell out. My tooth fell out. And then that's my grandmother immediately woke up. And that's when my grandfather was just coming in the room to go to bed. And then he was like, wait, what? It fell out? And I was like, yeah, look, my tooth fell out. And then my grandmother helped me in the bathroom. Luckily, I didn't get no blood on the bed. And, yeah, and I was able to put it under my pillow. And then the next day, just I got money. It was really, I really liked that. I really did. And my grandma and grandpa was so happy for me, and so were my parents. And that's when they telling me that you're turning into a big girl. And I was like, I know. And it's tradition that in my family I always keep my my tooth in my in little Ziploc bags. And there was even a time, like back in middle school, where I lost 2 teeth one day after the other, like 2 days in a row. I'm not even joking. And I'm pretty sure right after that is when I stopped losing baby teeth. When I stopped losing baby teeth. Which is, like, I miss those days. But I mean, like, hey, it's all worth it when you have a fresh, clean, pearly white set of teeth. So, it's all worth it in the end. For me, at least. But for Dima, everyone's so happy for her, and that's when they're saying that now the Tooth Fairy can come. And I don't know if this was like a dream, but what happens next just had me in awe. My jaw dropped as a kid. We get our first short song of the second season. Here she is. It gives very like very Miss America, like it's really like, I didn't know what to say as a kid. I was like, what is going on? And like my my mind really started deceiving me when we saw Una in a full blown tooth fairy costume, out of the sky with a magical wand, floating back up and back down for Dima. She just like laying in a bed, and she feels under her pillow, and then she gets a gold coin. Like, I don't know what was going on, but I was loving it. I was loving it. And I like how at the end, they were like, just look at that smile. Just look at that smile. Just look at that smile. I like that. I really did like it. It was fun. And then last Molly and Gil segment. Molly's really happy that her best friend Dima lost her tooth. And then Gil said that he doesn't need an electric toothbrush anymore, and that he got a goodie bag from Dr. Clark, and he quote unquote brushes his teeth with his new toothbrush, with the electric toothbrush right behind him looking at him, and that's when he finally strikes and finally catches him, and he's trying to struggle with it, trying to put the toothpaste on it, and then the toothbrush goes all around in his mouth, and he's like gurgling. Like, not gonna lie, I felt very uncomfortable with that as a kid. I mean, okay, that just answers more questions. Is it alive? Because if an inanimate object was alive, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't want to go somewhere that non-inanimate objects normally go, like in the mouth. Like, if it is alive, which I hope it isn't. I can't really hope it isn't, because it technically is. But, I mean, on the bright side, Gil somewhat got a happy ending. It just, he did get a happy ending somewhat. He did get pearly whites, teeth smiling, but a whole bunch of toothbrush foam all over his mouth. So I guess Gil did get a happy ending, very rarely in these segments at the end of these episodes. But, and then our episode ends. So, yeah, I really did like this episode. Really good. All the nostalgia from this episode will always stick to me, and I just liked it. It was an overall good episode, and I'm so happy that I was able to relate to one of my favorite characters. An Easter egg for an Easter egg for at the end of season 3 next season. We'll be talking about another demon centric episode that I very much could relate to when I was younger, but we're gonna talk about that in season 3. So, my rating for this episode, I'm gonna have to give it a 10. I liked it. It was really, really good. My favorite characters going through something that kids, are gonna go through, having a very, some quote unquote boring subject be turned into something fun, something really playful, and I see why this episode won an Annie Award. So, Tooth on the Looth, you deserve to win. You deserve to win. You deserved it. So, yeah, I really like this episode, and it's getting a 10. Now, we're gonna go from a very fun, uplifting tooth losing episode to a Transformer parody. Yes, a Transformer-esque parody episode. If you know, you know. So tune in to me next time as we'll be reviewing our 9th episode of this season, season 2, episode 9, Humunga Truck. See you all next time.